They say every collector reaches a point where they have too much, but in reality, that's where the fun really begins. Today, I'm uncovering my watch memorabilia collection, or at least a very small part of it. As you guys know, I've been collecting for a very long time watches and parts and all sorts of different things. You can see them on my eBay on the website. But what I have been doing for a long time as well is collecting memorabilia. A lot of people coming in the store, they're asking me, hey, is that for sale? Is that for sale? And up to now, I said no. But it gets to a point where I meet people, they offer me new stuff or new pieces of memorabilia, new objects of all sorts of different stores or let's say different eras of watches. And I got to the point where I have way too much. And that's what I'm going to announce today is the fact that on the website we're adding a whole page of memorabilia. I think it's going to be one of the biggest pages on the internet, all related to memorabilia of all sorts. We're Rolex heavy today, but I try to do all kinds of different things, from clocks to lettering to panels to all sorts of different things that I've fell in love with over the time, but now it's just too much for the store. Okay, we have a small store here. It's not something that I can live with and keep on adding. There's no more space. I have a lot of those things because people have been giving me objects, okay, maybe airplane clocks, all sorts of different stores that I dealt with over the years, or people that actually closed their stores, and we ended up making a few deals. For the past 20 years, by the fact that I've been cultivating and entertaining relations with so many people in the industry, I have ended up with a lot of objects and items related to watches. And I always found that they were cool and they're really interesting, and I ended up paying for some. I ended up being gifted some just because I was buying a lot of watches from people that were closing shops, and I ended up accumulating a lot of those things. But right now I got to the point where a lot of people are offering me even more, knowing what kind of stuff I'm buying. And it's not only watches, and that's why a lot of people, when they look at the website, they think, oh, lately Chris hasn't been buying a lot of watches. I do, there's a lot of them incoming, but I've concentrated my summer developing a relation or multiple relations with different people that are much older, that have been accumulating things over the past 20, 30, 50 years, and it ends up in my hands, and at some point I have to do something with them. That's when I was thinking, hey, you know what? Instead of just being a bit of a museum here, let's make something out of it. So as you see, there's a few things here on the desk, and that's how I actually feel every day having that many things in the store. My normal table is now filled with stuff of all sorts, including bracelets, including parts and other things that I'm just going through as we go. And what happens right now is that those pieces are of very high quality, and when you look at the luxury industry, you're buying a watch or you're buying a piece of furniture or whatever you're buying in any type of context, okay? The representation and the presentation of those pieces are very important. Therefore, maybe Rolex, Louis Vuitton, Chanel, or any other brand, they end up putting a lot of money in the way they will present you those items. So a bag or a watch or anything that you might buy in a luxury context is very well presented. Therefore, they're never cheaping out. There's nothing cheap about their presentation. There's nothing cheap about something that's meant to last 5, 10, 15 years in the past. Today, their turnover of the displays are much faster, but the quality still remains. So that's what's important about those things. It's not only the fact that they are quality, they're part of the history, they're part of the history of those brands. How did we get to where we got today is what those also represent. Not only a watch, and that's what's cool about those things. This YouTube video and channel have been something that was real close to me from the beginning, because I wanted to share what I'm doing and what this is about. It's not only about flipping watches and mazals of this world, okay? I'm not making fun of anyone, but this is not what the reality of the market is, okay? What you see, short videos or TikToks or whatnot, it's not what it is. And it started with the fact that I'm passionate about those things. And I thank you very much for the support. We reached this month over 1,000 subscribers. It means a lot to me. We're making longer videos for the fact that there's much more than just shooting you like little information that's very superficial. I really want to go into depth deeper than what other channels are doing. If you don't like it, it's fine. If you like it, thumbs up, subscribe, please. And I'll try to do my best to take a bit of my everyday business time to actually share what I'm doing. I find that YouTube is a very good medium to actually share what my daily life is, at least a little part of it. And obviously, I just appreciate all the support. A lot of people ask me, why don't you want to sell those? And up to now, the emotional connection was very strong just because I've been living with a lot of those pieces. And since I have the store for the past 5 years, I kept on adding, people gave me stuff, and it's just been part of my everyday life. It had nothing to do with the business aspect of what I'm doing. I kind of know what they are in terms of value, in terms of rarity or whatnot, but at the same time, it's the fact that I was able over the years in a small town like Montreal to actually accumulate so many things just because people put a lot of trust into me. The last thing basically that a store owner that's 85 years old is ever going to sell. They also have an emotional attachment, so that just passes on and is passed on to me. And that's why it's not physical, it's not monetary. It has to do something with what we feel for one another and the respect we have and the fact that people actually entrust you with those objects. So that's where I'm coming from. And going forward, I would say that a lot of the stuff here is not something that you'd see every day. Okay, most of them, if not all of them, were used in retail stores. They were never even gifted to anyone. They were not even meant to be gifted. And in today's market, sadly, as I said earlier, all those big companies that are retailing all sorts of luxury goods, they are normally destroying those things. Once the store is closing or once they're changing the display, they are supposed to be closed. They're supposed to be thrown away, destroyed, a hammer taken to them, and it saddens me just because the energy and the quality of those pieces are just insane, just for lasting 2, 3, 4 years in most of cases. And it just attracts me the fact that you build something that's meant for a lapse of time until you actually change the business looks or whatnot, and it's so much energy put into something that's really of great quality. Every single piece, may be Rolex, usually Omega, Patek, they are normally made unique for every single store. So you might have a store in Dubai or a store in California or one in Montreal, and each one will have different designs and different pieces. It doesn't mean they're not going to crisscross each other, but they will be, in most cases, there's going to be differences in sizes and the type of presentation that the architects of every single company is going to do. So that's what's cool about those things. We'll start with the 4-watch display case. It's all in leather. It's very well designed. It's very sturdy. Those are meant to last years because they're going in and out of the safe every single day. This piece was most probably left in a vault for the past 20-25 years, and it was just forgotten about because they were using the everyday display. So that's one of the main reasons why they're replacing them every 5 to 10 years, because of that normal wear. But at the same time, the pieces that still remain or that are never touched by hands or they're not really manipulated, those are still normally in very good condition. So this I've never seen before, especially for 4 watches. You can tell this was most probably a smaller shop or some kind of a smaller display. Super cool, pretty big, and this is gonna be sold on the website pretty soon. I'm gonna go with the second piece here that is right up my alley, is the Rolex Master Catalog. I think this one is a bit earlier, maybe from 1975, 70, 76 maybe. I haven't found a date on this one. I also have a few of them that are from 1978. Some of them have the price list. Then you have every single detail about every single watch, even references that I didn't know existed. You even have pictures of dials that were malachite, tiger eye. You have all the references of bracelets, including bracelets I've never seen before. Therefore, this is something for someone who really enjoys. So you see this page, we have factory diamond dials. We have, right here, I have one for sale. It's the Rolex Chameleon. That's pretty rare with all the different straps. And I see in the pictures they don't even have the Rolex crown on the buckles, which is funny because I have the Rolex buckles and I have multiple ones brand new with the Rolex buckles. As you see, a lot of people think that certain things are the way they are just because you see only a few pictures. But even the master catalogs showed that the buckles were not necessarily Rolex. And that's just a fluke that I got into this page, but that just shows how little we know about every single brand, and we're learning every single day. So this is something that not only is for me, who, you see, I just learned something right now, but it's also good for people who are actually trying or starting to go into vintage. Obviously, those are not cheap. You have to think that those are going to be in the 1250 to 1750 in US dollars, so roughly around 2000 and a bit in Canadian funds, but they are a trove of information. So for me, this is a must-have for someone who's starting, a very knowledgeable actor in the industry. It just teaches you a lot about the mid-70s pieces and most probably even up to the early 80s. Very interesting. Everything that is in there is really interesting in terms of pictures, variables of dials, variables of cases and bracelets. Very cool. Here we have a tray that I've never seen before. It's also oval, whereas Rolex usually uses more square and different types of displays. In general, those are a bit more rare. I have two of them. Those are also going to be on the website. Very good condition. As you can see, they haven't been used at all. They were just sitting there. And it goes with the 4-watch tray I showed earlier. So that's also something that I had to have. It's not something that I'm ever going to see again. And it's just the feeling of it, the quality. I just cannot replace it with anything else. And even if you try, it's going to be a whole headache to actually do something like this. And therefore, this is something that I also enjoyed, and maybe I'm going to keep one of the two that I have. Since we're in the trades, I'm going to show you something even cooler. Another one that's new old stock, old leather, never used. You always, or in most cases, I'd say about 85-90% of the cases, you're always going to have a reference. So it's going to be RMA 151B. So most probably the B stands for a different variation of colors or different variations of maybe, I have some that are wood on the sides, but this one is really brand new, never used. And they're exceptional if you have, let's say, a desk, or you always are looking for some place where you put your keys, your watch. I have a lot of people that are inquiring about those for those reasons. We also have some smaller ones, but I find these are a bit more on an everyday level. They're more user friendly for the size. This is something I've never seen before, and it's something that just came up in the store lately. It's a magazine tray, all in plexiglass. Obviously, you can reproduce this if you want, but it's never gonna have those letters on the front. This most probably was in the 80s or maybe late 70s, and you can imagine the documents or the publicity that was sitting on there. That's also something that you can use this on an everyday basis, and it's just gonna fit in every single area of your room. Again, I'm not trying to sell you any of those things. It's just to show you how intricate and how variable the Roll Deco company is doing, because Roll Deco is basically the company that Rolex opened to create all those pieces. What's cool is that every single piece of display was really thought of and was really well designed in general. And that's something that I've never seen. It's pretty well built, very well glued. So I just have a lot of respect for everything that is gonna last another decade or two, or a few generations in the future, and that's one of them. At the beginning of the video, you might have seen some Rolex letters on the desk, and I'm gonna be opening here. I'll go with these ones because those have been partially opened before, and you're gonna see here, same thing. Rolex had, you see, references for every single one. So most probably when Roll Deco was sending those to their retailers, they would have a reference, the size, and they would know where everything goes in the store as designed by the architects, okay? So those letters are gonna be on the website. Maybe not this week, I'll try to do my best with all the updates. Those are more subtle. They're a bit thinner than what's on my desk if you compare the eras. So you're gonna see the width, the quality, And you can tell that Rolex has been evolving from a more, let's say, everyday usable type of watch, more towards the luxury branding. Whereas, as you can see, it's a lot more blingy, it's gold plated, it's a very good quality, there's no bubbles here. And I don't know if we're gonna see it in the picture, but every single letter in this case is Swiss made. So you can tell it's not made in China, it's not made in some country where they ordered a million of those. They were made very well. And sadly, it's not because China doesn't make good things, they just choose to make volume versus quality. They can do a lot better stuff, but they chose to go with volume in most cases. But here, having the fact that it's Swiss made, the fact that they are putting a lot of energy into developing the brand at every single level, they're not letting any stone unturned when it comes to doing publicity. And that's why I enjoy those pieces. Those are generally the bigger size of what we see, and those are going to be on the website very, very soon. Don't give up. If you don't see them yet, they will be there shortly. Every single one of you that has been in a Rolex store in the past has most probably seen a variation of the wave green display, maybe to display one watch. I have a few here, or some kind of a display like this just put on one of their seating areas or on one of their counters. This is something that I really enjoy, and again, very high quality. The reflection of the light on those is really incredible, and it's not until you really see them in person that you're really gonna enjoy what those are. To finish up, I think this is one of the most iconic pieces, relatively affordable if you want to have something on your desk and share or spread your love about the brand. I know it's very difficult lately for a lot of people, and I mean the sales are not the best when it comes to the secondhand market, but I feel that the brand will still remain over the years, I would say, the king of watches in a way. In case of the distribution of watches, they're doing an amazing job, and the brand is just gonna keep on growing. I want to go a bit with Omega right now, something that's on the desk, and it's not something you see every day. This, believe it or not, we call it the bullet clock. So it's a quartz clock with a big heavy weight at the bottom, and it just looks like it's floating in the air. Very well made. So there is a serial number on those pieces. Omega and Rolexes have done an amazing job at keeping track of what they're doing and also giving the chance to the brand to actually make their name with those unique pieces. Imagine you'd be a kid and you would see maybe like something like this. I don't know how old it is. I haven't even checked yet the serial number. Or you see a bullet clock and display and it's super cool. You just pull it out, replace the 9-volt battery, and you're pretty much done. Those are called mecha quartz. So it still has a balance wheel. Everything runs out of a battery. So it just has underneath, it has a coil that transforms that into rotation of the little motor attached to the coil. So that's something that I really enjoy. I have a Bulova that's very similar to this, and it just marks the love for those brands. And I'll go back to it, but the fact that you're a kid and you would go in a store and you'd see those pieces on display, just that memory, not only of watches, but those display pieces, because I cannot call them anything else other than, it's a functional clock, but still a lot of people would not buy those, and it's still a part of what Omega did best back in the time, because those are meant to last for decades. This one is also very impressive. It's a marble counter clock. They're always sitting a bit at an angle. May them be the newer ones from the 60s, or this one, which is much older. It's in super condition. The bezel is very nicely preserved. The glass is also scratchless, and you see it's very well inserted in the back with the serial number. I didn't check it out to see what year it dates from, but it's something that I couldn't pass on to buying, and this is also most probably gonna be on the website in the next few weeks. Going back to the letters, I showed you the smaller letters, and now I can show you the bigger ones. Okay, they cannot sit, but they are super heavy. I was always thinking of what would resist more than a watch to time and to everything else, without any pun intended. But honestly, all those memorabilia pieces are going to be a piece of history and a piece of publicity. Okay, and it touches everyone. It touches the fact that Rolex has become a brand of a huge community of watch enthusiasts, maybe for the good or the wrong reasons. They did so well at marketing themselves and at proposing something that's different, something that most of the other brands have left aside, because they are always impressive. You go into a store and you have the rules of how a salesman has to treat you. You have the publicity, or let's say the presentation of everything, that's very high end. If you look at Rolex, the way they are presenting everything that they're making, including a watch, the quality of their displays. And for example, this is a 90s, I believe this is 90s or late 80s. I never had this one before. I have a maybe 405 here on the desk. And this is for a GMT Master, presenting its features. I'm going to read it to you. So 24-hour hand, revolving rim. You see they're calling it rim and not the bezel. Self-winding chronometer. You have the calendar, so you have the date, and 100% waterproof. I wouldn't go as far as saying 100% waterproof, but you know, they're doing a pretty good job with that, with all the gaskets, the triplo crown and everything else. I'd say that there's no other company that presents itself as professionally as Rolex. There's a reason why everything is so well made overall. There's all the reasons I gave you, and also for the fact that they have been, for the longest time, they have tried to dominate the market and always be ahead of the competition. I wouldn't say that in today's market with their new movements. I think Omega is doing a bit of a better job, but in general, their presentation and their image is everything in this industry. So they have been doing a very good job until now, and I hope they keep on doing it, because it just represents so much, and it is something that, even though a lot of pieces are overrated, you can go and check our video about that, I just find that the whole market in general is attracted to the brand because of how well they are doing. And that's why I'm presenting you more than just a watch, and more than what I'm just doing on a daily basis. All of this is going to be on the website soon. If you do want anything, or you do see anything in the store, if you ever come in, I'll tell you right away politely if yes or no it's for sale. I'm still going to keep a lot of it, but again, at this point, it's a bit too much. The next piece is this tray that's very simple, yet I think this one dates from the 70s. It kind of has an old feel to it, with the kind of velvety insides. Again, not to scratch your watch. It's signed outside, it's signed inside as well. So I just enjoy the fact that they were thinking about everything. I know that Cartier does it, I know that Omega does it as well. It's only that most probably, like, this was done, I think, before the other brands. They were already doing the other trays, but I think this is one of the earlier ones that I've seen from many brands. And I just find that even though it's mostly paper, or it's like a simile leather, it has resisted 50 years so far. So have a look. There's much more to do than just what I'm showing you in this memorabilia collection. I'm just showing you a little bit of what I found interesting right now. Just picked up a few things off my shelves and drawers and whatnot, but there's a lot more. Okay, you can collect so many different things. You don't need 100 pieces, 200 pieces of those. It's too much. It's overkill. But I'm a store. I've been collecting those. That's my life. So it's a bit different from my perspective. But I'd say, even if you want one piece, it's something that you enjoy. I know people that do tattoos on their hands or their arms or their backs with watches, with the Rolex crown or Omega signage. I just find this a lot less intrusive. You don't need to have a tattoo on you telling people you like Rolex. So that's also something that you can even enjoy, having one piece or two pieces, and say, hey, you know, that belongs to me, it belongs to my heirloom, and people are gonna know that that was a bit part of my passions, you know, by showing one or two memorabilia pieces. Thank you again, guys, for being here in this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you do want me to talk about something different, let me know in the comments. I'm also gonna talk about how to build a timeless watch collection at any kind of price in the next video, and I hope you will really enjoy. Comment, like, and subscribe, and tell us what kind of piece was your favorite of the lot. I had a lot of pleasure talking to you about everything that I had here. Thank you.